We have breaking news out of Mandan this morning where police have discovered some bodies in a business. We're going to go right to Megan Hoffman, who is live from the scene. Megan.
Hey, that's right. I am out here in Mandan. You can see kind of RJR maintenance behind me here. We don't have a lot of information. I've been on scene since about 8:30 this morning working to get information for you guys. But what we do know is that Mandan police say they responded to a medical call this morning at about 7:30 a.m. at this business here behind me. Now, when they arrived, they say they found multiple dead bodies. I have talked to both the chief and the public information officer for Mandan police. They say they are not going to release any more information at this time.
Well, good evening. We're going to take you right to a press conference in Mandan with the news that several people have been found dead at a Mandan business, and the news conference is underway, so we're going to take you there right now.
Based upon the information that we have, that the public safety is at peril. Now, I'll open up to any questions, and like I said, I'll try my best to answer them. If I can't answer them, I apologize up front.
Can you tell us what the medical call was that you guys responded to this morning?
It was a basic medical call. Paramedics and firefighters arrived, I believe, before we did, so it was just a call for service on medical.
Mandan police are investigating the deaths of 4 people at a business off Memorial Highway early this morning. They say the public is not in danger as they work to identify the victims and process the crime scene. Megan Hoffman reports.
It's been a long day for law enforcement here on scene at RJR Maintenance and Management in Mandan. What started as a typical medical call at 7:30 turned into much more once they arrived on scene. Mandan police say they were shocked about what they found when they arrived at the business Monday morning. The bodies of 3 men and 1 woman and no suspect.
These 4 people didn't do it themselves.
Mandan Police Chief Jason Ziegler says they are actively looking for a suspect, but says the public isn't in any danger at this time based on how the crime scene is contained. Throughout the day, people heading to the building looking to pay rent and do walkthroughs for rentals were surprised at what they came across.
I came here because nobody was answering the phone.
Ziegler says it's a rare type of crime scene, but wouldn't elaborate on what that meant.
Now we're trying to get in and processing the scene. It's quite a large crime scene, so it's not going to be something that's going to be easy for us to get in and do quickly. So as soon as we get the information, we'll be glad to share it.
He says at this point they're not releasing a time frame or murder weapon because it's an active investigation. Police are waiting on autopsies from the medical examiner's office to confirm the causes of death. In Mandan, I'm Megan Hoffman for your news leader.
As first responders drove to RJR Maintenance and Management, we learned they first thought they were dealing with a medical call, but the tone changed as they arrived and they saw what happened. Responders found 4 victims. Listen to some of the conversation between 911 dispatch and Metro Area Ambulance.
Mandan, 6139 has the call, 6139.
6139, Mandan Central.
46139.
Be advised, CPR in progress. CPR in progress.
Mandan Central, 6139.
6139, go ahead.
We have more injuries at RJR. One was a trauma arrest. I'm not sure what the status is of the other patient.
Do you want additional units?
Can you repeat that traffic?
Do you want additional units sent out?
10-4. And also, if there's any other officers, we're leaving the scene until
10-4.
Mandan Central. 6139.
6139, go ahead.
You can cancel the other Metro unit.
10-4, 749, 626, Mandan Central.
Just moments ago, the Mandan Police Department released new details on the quadruple murder at a business off the Strip in Mandan Monday morning. We now know the identities of those killed that morning, and Mandan Police say they were 3 employees and the owner of RJR Maintenance and Management. Megan Hoffman joins us live from Mandan City Hall with the very latest. Megan, what'd you find out?
Hey, Hope, we just wrapped up the press conference about 10 minutes ago, and we were given those identities. They are Robert Faulkner, age 52. He was the owner of RJR Maintenance and Management. The other three are Adam Fear, who is 42, Lois Cobb, who is 45, and William Cobb, who was 50. Those last three were employees of RJR. William and Lois were married as well. The other thing that Chief Ziegler mentioned during the press conference is they're still asking for the public's help and the public's assistance. He said anything of suspicion that you've seen, he didn't want to give a timeline. Again, like he said last night, he wants to make sure that if you see anything suspicious at all, you report it to them. He said they've had a lot of tips coming in and out, and they will be working through all of those tips from the public. Again, he wanted to clarify there is no danger to the public that they see at this point. He said that this seemed like it was an isolated attack and it was specific to those victims. Again, he said no threat to the public at this point, but will continue to give updates as they become available. There's no press conferences scheduled at this point, but he says they will continue to release information as they get it. He said the autopsies are being done. The causes of death will be released by the medical examiner, and that will be given to the police, who will then release that information. There was a lot of information again today that he wouldn't give out just because it was specific to the investigation. 4 bodies were found early Monday morning at RJR Maintenance and Management in Mandan. While the names of the victims have been released, Robert Faulkner, Adam Fear, and Lois and William Cobb, we still don't know how they died, and police say there is no weapon that's been recovered.
A lot of the questions you guys are asking, we just don't have answers right now.
And in a small town like Mandan, the whole community is grieving.
It does hit home, and especially when they're, all the victims were from the community and very well known in the community. So it definitely hits hard.
Police Chief Jason Ziegler says his investigative team is working through all the evidence with the assistance of the Bureau of Criminal Investigation.
I don't think any community across this great country could ever imagine something like this happening in their backyard. It's extremely hard and difficult for everybody.
Ziegler says the medical examiner is in the process of performing autopsies on the bodies to determine the causes of death.
These murders have sent a shockwave through the Mandan community. Jordan Verdadero spoke with business owners near RJR and got their reaction. Jordan?
I met with local business owners in Mandan who do neighbor RJR Maintenance and Management, and everyone seemed to have a similar reaction: shock. Owner of Schmidt Auto Sales in Mandan, Dustin Schmidt, said there were constant waves of emergency personnel.
From open to close yesterday, it was, I don't know, it was just a really eerie feeling. No one knew what was really going on.
Schmidt said at first he didn't realize how serious the situation was.
It got really surreal when a detective came over here and needed to look through our surveillance cameras, and it was, that's really, I'm like, oh my, like, what's really going on over there?
Owner of Midway Lane's bowling alley, Jim Mellon, said in his 53 years of being in the city, he's never heard of something like this happening before.
Waved to them when we went by to get our mail, stuff like that. But they're always smiling. Everybody's hardworking, just like any company that's brand new or been established. They got there for a reason. They're very well known, and they're very, very responsible for the job they do.
Mellon says anyone who wants to donate to the RJR family and employees can take gifts to the bowling alley.
Well, as everyone is looking for answers to this senseless tragedy at RJR Management and Maintenance, the daughters of slain couple Lois and William Cobb just want justice and closure. Leslie Moreno reports.
They were true soulmates, and I'm so happy that, as bad as it sounds, I'm so happy that they were able to. Me too.
William and Lois Cobb had just purchased their dream home in North Dakota, but their lives, along with 2 others, were cut short.
And he called me before he went to work, and I didn't answer.
With tears in their eyes, Amy and Brianne remember the call no child wants to ever receive.
I called my mom back to back. I called my stepdad back to back. I texted them multiple times, and after what seemed like a lifetime of not receiving anything from them, I finally called her, and And from there, it was just a leading investigation for the both of us to figure anything out.
The tragic deaths of William and Lois leave behind 4 children, 3 grandchildren, and their beloved dog Presley. It's an empty void that will remain in their children's life forever.
Just the thought of never seeing him again, but I'm never gonna have a dad to walk me down the aisle when I get married, or meet my kids when I have kids. And for Bree.
The hardest thing for me, well, my mom is my best friend for one. I called her every single day, talked to her every single day at least. I have 3 children.
Now Brianne and Amy are searching for answers and justice for their parents.
4 innocent people went to work one day, and somebody, for whatever reason, just decided to take all of their lives. And it's a hard thing to process, especially when it's the both of them.
The sisters now putting their lives back together despite the heartbreaking circumstance.
I think that it's probably brought us closer, but it's also, all of us kids are what's going to keep our parents' memories alive.
Bree started a GoFundMe campaign to help raise money for the family. The goal is to raise $100,000 for funeral expenses and travel costs for her, her family, and her siblings. At last check, the page has raised more than $6,600.
Police are trying to find more answers about Monday's murders at RJR Maintenance and Management, while those who live in Mandan are expressing extreme sadness about the situation. Megan Hoffman talked to residents about how they're feeling and joins us now from Mandan. Megan?
Ellen and Monica, those I talked to today say they're still in shock over the events that unfolded in their backyard, but say they do feel safe in their community. They told me that they have a lot of trust in the Mandan Police Department and just want them to be able to do what they're there for. As life returns to normal in Mandan, the victims and families from Monday's murders are still in the thoughts of everyone in town.
Pardon me for breaking down. My heart goes out for this family. I wouldn't know what I would do if I experienced that. It's just tragic.
Residents tell me although they're looking for answers too, they trust what the police are doing.
There's no threat or no harm to the community, and I'm learning to just trust and to rely on that. I believe that if there was a danger, they would tell us.
However, some on social media have a different attitude, saying they don't feel safe in their community. But Police Chief Jason Ziegler has said Monday,
there is no reasons based upon the information that we have that the public safety is at peril.
Tuesday,
we do not believe the public at large is in any danger.
And Wednesday,
we do not feel the public is in any danger.
That the public is not in danger.
Since the last few days have gone by, I feel okay that things are still secure in the town.
Many saying though this is just something they've never seen before. Police asking the public to only share factual information that comes directly from them and to stop the spread of rumors out of respect for the families. Live in Mandan, I'm Megan Hoffman reporting for your news leader.
We can now confirm what neighbors have been telling us since a little bit earlier this afternoon, that it was 44-year-old Chad Isaac who was arrested in connection with these murders and will be charged with homicide. That is his house over my right shoulder as I'll take a step out of the way to give you a look at the scene right now. There's still some police vehicles on scene, but we did see a few drive away. We saw about a dozen or more law enforcement officers come onto the scene just around 8:30 this evening and start going into the home and presumably start collecting evidence and taking it away. We can also say that the neighbors have told us that Isaac was a chiropractor in Washburn, so he was someone who was relatively known. His offices are down in downtown Washburn, and he ran a chiropractic office out of there for at least several years. So that's what we know in Washburn right now, but I will send it back to you.
Mandan police arrested a Washburn man accused of 4 murders at RJR Maintenance and Management on Monday morning.
They tracked down 44-year-old Chad Isaac after spotting his vehicle on surveillance video. Let's go first to Megan Hoffman at Mandan City Hall. Megan, what's going on there?
Hey, Alan and Anna. Police tell us that they detained Isaac this afternoon at about 3:30 in McLean County while conducting a traffic stop. It was a joint investigation or a joint arrest with the McLean County Sheriff's Office, BCI, and Mandan Police Department. They say it was conducted out on a street anywhere near any residences. They tell us that he was arrested at about 7:46 p.m. tonight and is charged with those 4 counts of a felony AA murder, and he's being held currently at the McLean County Jail. They are unsure right now of when his first court appearance will be, and the investigation is still ongoing. Here's what Chief Ziegler had to say tonight.
The citizens were giving us some very good leads to follow up. We did not look at any lead and say this isn't valuable, and we appreciate everything that everybody put in and gave to us. The citizens have been just unbelievable, and they've been very supportive, and we thank them for that.
We also found out tonight that the victims had suffered gun and or stab wounds. They say that there's no motive that they know of at this point, and they are not looking for any other suspects. Now let's go to Max Grossfield, who is in Washburn right now. Max?
Megan, this is Northview RV Park, and if you take a look behind me, you'll see Chad Isaac's house with the lights still on. Just about 8:30 tonight, a large contingent of police officers got here and started going inside. We spoke with one of Isaac's neighbors who says he was in the neighborhood during the arrest. Dale Ronholt says the police were prepared with a lot of officers. When he saw that amount of law enforcement gathered, he says RJR was the first thing that came to his mind.
They had the armored car and the ambulance and about, 6 or 7 police cars there with the lights going. So I figured something was going on.
Okay. Ron Holt says Isaac was a fairly well-known chiropractor here in Washburn. He says he would watch Isaac's dog from time to time, and he never had a bad thing to say about RJR. We do know that RJR took over management of this property back in the summer of 2018. Now I'm going to step out of the way real quick and give you a live look at what we're seeing. Again, the house with the lights on in the background is Chad Isaac's home. Police have been walking around with flashlights and going in and out of the house as we've seen their silhouettes in the windows from time to time. There are still several law enforcement officers on scene, but considerably less than they were just a few moments ago. Live from Washburn, I'm Max Grossfeld for your news leader.
Mandan police have arrested a Washburn man accused of 4 murders at RJR Maintenance and Management on Monday. Good morning, I'm Wayne Wolf.
And I'm Hope Sisk. Law enforcement tracked down 44-year-old Chad Isaac after spotting his vehicle on surveillance video. We have team coverage this morning with Megan Hoffman and Daniela Hurtado as we keep you updated on the details of this arrest.
Let's first start by sending it out to Megan Hoffman, who is live at RJR Maintenance and Management. Megan, what can you tell us this morning?
Hope and Wayne, it has been an extremely long 4 days for everybody involved in this process. Now, initially, paramedics and fire responded on Monday morning at about 7:30 to this building right behind me, RJR Maintenance and Management. When they arrived on scene, though, they found the bodies of Robert Faulkner, the owner of RJR Maintenance, as well as employees Adam Fear, Bill, and Lois Cobb. Department has been working in conjunction with BCI on this investigation. They tell us they've gone through a lot of surveillance video as well as tips to catch the person they say was responsible. Last night we learned from Mandan police that they arrested Isaac at about 3:30 yesterday in Washburn with the help of the McLean County Sheriff's Office. We also learned last night how the victims died. Police say they suffered gun and or stab wounds. We also police say that they still don't have a motive at this time, aren't looking for any other suspects. At this time, we're expecting a press conference today at about 4 p.m. from RJR Management. Guys?
Any indication on what that press conference will entail this afternoon?
You know, I talked to RJR Maintenance on Wednesday when they opened the first day. They said at that point they had no comment. They were working with a private investigator to draft a statement for the public. So at this point, we really don't know what they're going to say. Obviously, things have changed a lot in the last 12 hours or so. So it could be a little bit different than what we were initially expecting.
Megan, thank you. We'll be monitoring that 4 o'clock press conference as well as all the other details, and we'll be checking back in with Megan Hoffman and our reporter Daniela Hurtado a few minutes later in the newscast.
Chad Isaac's neighbors in Washburn describe him as a strange man. Max Grossfeld spoke with a couple who lived across the street from him, and he has this story.
As police search Chad Isaac's home, neighbors say they're not surprised he's under arrest.
You know, it's like a gossip thing, and it's not. There's something deeply disturbing about the guy.
Neighbors tell us many officers were right here at the corner of Woodgate Drive and Rough Rider Road.
They had the armored car and the ambulance and about, 6 or 7 police cars there with the lights going. So I figured something was going on.
Dale Ronald says he only thought one thing when he saw the commotion.
The thing in Mandan was, because you don't need a armored car in most cases. Unless you really. And this was something that would, be really.
Ronald says he watches Isaac's dog from time to time, but never heard him complain about RJR maintenance and management. In Washburn with John Salling, I'm Max Grossfeld for your news leader.
The man accused of murdering 4 people at RJR Maintenance and Management on Monday morning has had his bond set at $1 million. 44-year-old Chad Isaac made his initial appearance in Morton County this afternoon. He's charged with 4 counts of Class AA murder. Reporter Megan Hoffman was in the courtroom and joins us now from Mandan with the latest. Megan?
Monica, Isaac sat quietly beside his lawyer during the 15-minute hearing, showing no emotion on his face, as well as answering just a few questions from the judge. Isaac is accused of killing Robert Faulkner, Adam Fear, and Bill and Lois Cobb at the RJR Maintenance and Management office on Monday morning. He's also facing charges of burglary, concealment within a vehicle, and unauthorized use of a vehicle. The state's attorney asked for a $1 million bond, while Isaac's attorney asked for a bond of $100,000.
There has been a considerable public outcry, and for good reason in this case already. There's concerns for the safety of the individuals in the public, but there's also concern for the safety of the individuals at RJR.
Isaac is also required to stay in Burleigh, Morton, and McLean counties if he does post bail, and is not allowed to have any contact with the families of the victims or RJR employees. Live in Mandan, I'm Megan Hoffman reporting for your news leader.
RJR employees paid tribute to their own today, making the first statement about the incident. Owner Robert Faulkner's wife, Jackie, spoke about her husband, as well as Adam Fearer and Bill and Lois Cobb. There were laughs and tears as she described each person and how much they would be missed. Jackie also says those they've lost would appreciate their work family's ability to come together during this tragedy.
Adam, Bill, Lois, and Robert would be proud of the RJR family right now. The employees are the ones that have decided to keep these doors open. They are the ones that made this possible and allow us to move forward into our next steps.
The company reopened for business on Wednesday.
While the RJR family grieves, a small town is coming to grips with what happened. Isaac's Washburn neighbors spoke with our Daniela Hurtado.
Many in the community shocked that a local business owner, neighbor, and chiropractor is accused of murdering 4 people in another town. As the sun rises and a new day begins in the town of Washburn, where the population is just over 2,000 people, the community tries to come to grips with the tragedy. It's pretty shocking. Tracy Yeager lives next door to the man charged in connection with the quadruple homicide in Mandan.
You like to think you know who your neighbors are, but I guess you just never really know.
A heinous crime that has left many wondering why.
This hit close to home, very close to home.
Describing 44-year-old Chad Isaac as someone who kept to himself, but a childhood friend.
Straight A's on this basketball team, everything. I mean, I would have never, ever thought this of him.
And a good chiropractor.
In fact, my wife had an appointment with him yesterday at 5:15.
One that never happened, since Isaac was detained and arrested Thursday.
Shock to us that something like this happened and that he would be a person to do something like this.
A community sending prayers to all sides of the issue. Many told me that it's a scary thought that someone in their community, in their small town in Washburn, can be involved in something like this. In Washburn, I'm Daniela Hurtado for your news leader.
Together in solidarity, a fleet of RJR maintenance and management vehicles made its way through Mandan and Bismarck to honor 4 colleagues murdered just over a week ago. Many had been waiting for the opportunity to pay their respects. Mourners gathered for a memorial service at Bismarck Community Church this morning. Well, families and friends said goodbye to Robert Fackler, Adam Fuhrer, and Bill and Lois Cobb.
Daniela Hurtado and Megan Hoffman have more.
Hundreds in our community came to pay respects to the 4 victims of last week's quadruple homicide at the memorial. A big message is to maintain the victims at the forefront of this all. A mourning to remember the 4 lives taken tragically last week.
These guys were a part of this community, and a lot of people knew them. A lot of people.
A community mourning the loss of Robert Fackler, Bill and Lois Cobb, and Adam Fuhrer.
How do you thank that many people? The community has been just fabulous.
Through the tragedy, loved ones still trying to piece together why this happened.
And that's the biggest thing, is to try to understand why somebody could be evil, that evil.
Fackler says during the memorial there were hundreds of familiar faces in the crowd. She says this shows the impact the victims made on so many people. After the memorial, family, friends, and co-workers met at RJR to gather and remember those victims. Megan has a story.
Danny, after the families and friends celebrated the lives of those 4 victims, they sat down with us to give us a closer look at who they were. A sea of flowers and a show of support from across the community as family and friends of Fackler, Fuhrer, and the Cobbs worked to process what happened last week. The widows of Adam Fuhrer and Robert Fackler saying they were big people that would give anyone the shirt off their backs.
He was a loving husband. He was a loving father. He did everything for us. I mean, he was the love of my life.
Jackie Fackler talking about Bill and Lois Cobb, the couple she and Robert spent so much time with. She says Lois was the happy one, singing "You Are My Sunshine" every day at the office, while Bill was a cowboy and Elvis's #1 fan, as evidenced by the tie his brother wore to the service. She says it was their second chance at life together when they met.
Him and Lois was inseparable. They came to work together, they went home together. They went everywhere together.
Fackler remembers her husband's generosity to anyone he came across.
One family had to move, and it was a single woman with 4 kids, I believe, and she didn't have the means, and Robert packed up her stuff and hauled it to where she needed to go.
4 people they say they'll never forget. The RJR family continues to mourn and honor those who were lost by doing projects like working on this car together as a family. In Mandan, I'm Megan Hoffman for your news leader.